Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about the Sig Sauer P365X Macro. We picked these up the other day. These are now our new carry guns. So very nice firearms that we're going to kind of talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly with them. Before we jump into that, I do want to remind you, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video. Remember, we have our ammo giveaway coming up at the end of August. So if you want 1,000 rounds of 9mm, make sure and share the video and comment done when you're finished. Okay, so we recently have decided to change over to the Sig Sauer 365. A couple reasons for this, but our daily carry guns, we've gone through several of them. We were at Shadow Systems for a long time. We were using Shadow Systems. They've been good guns, so nothing against them, but ultimately the issue that we came to is any of the kind of Glock-ish platforms or Glock platforms, we didn't like the grip angle on them. And I know that this is a common complaint, and people say, well, it's a training issue. I mean, I put hundreds of thousands of rounds through Glocks. I mean, I've carried Glocks for years and years and years. So again, it's not a training issue as it is. This is just natural. I don't have to think about it. When I pick up something with a 1911 style grip, I extend out and I'm on target. A Glock, I can do it, but I have to think about it. I have to think about aiming my thumbs at the target. And so I didn't want to have to think about it. I wanted it to be more natural. And so we decided to swap over to the P365 because that was a little bit more natural for both of us. And then there were some other advantages that we gained. And one of the first things that Sig did is so it looks like, from my understanding of it, they built the gun around the magazine. So they got a magazine that holds 17 rounds. And you think, well, 17 rounds is going to be a big gun. And it's really not. It's like I said, it's between a compact and a subcompact size gun. That's about where it fits in. I think Sig technically calls it a subcompact, but it is between a compact and a subcompact size gun. Like I said, we've been real happy with the way that this is shot. We did not clean it or do anything or oil it, but we took it straight out of the box, went out to the range, and we put about 200 rounds through it. We did not have any malfunctions that were gun related on either pistol. So like I said, we bought two of them, one for me and one for her. We did have some malfunctions. You'll see in the video, those malfunctions were not due to the firearm. We had a batch of ammo that got wet, got some water in there and everything. And so you're getting about 50% of the rounds went bad. Rather than getting rid of the rounds, we decided that we'd use them in practice because it allows us to practice clear malfunctions. So you'll see some of them, I had to rack it 3 or 4 times. For those of you that are going crazy about like the Glocks and everything, and getting mad at me for changing over from a Glock, we had just as many malfunctions with the Glocks. It's the ammo. The rounds got wet and the primers went bad. So is what it is. Okay, so as far as kind of the ergonomics of these, again, I do think that the ergonomics generally are better than the Glock-ish platforms. They did a really good job making a nice small handle. You do have your adjustment on the back strap like they do with every pistol. You have a small, medium, and large adjustment back strap. I'm running the large, Amandalyn runs the medium. Yeah, and the small one, I think you'd have to have pretty small hands to make that really worth your while.
I have small hands to begin with. So,
but yeah, and the medium worked really well for you. Yeah. And it's such a subtle difference. You didn't really notice much difference when we were trying them out. Now, there's some interesting design things that Sig did with this. Like I said, so first off was the magazine. They built the gun around the magazine. The other thing is you can see that the compensated portion of this is actually past the barrel. And so when I extend this out, the barrel doesn't go all the way to the end. And this adds some reliability aspects of it while giving you some of the benefits of being ported. And what I mean by that is because the cycle of the action is 100% complete after by the time the barrel or the bullet actually hits the compensated portion of this. So you're getting those exhaust gas that are blowing up and pushing the muzzle down, but you don't have any of the negatives of a typical porting where it's actually in the barrel, because when it's in the barrel, you guys that shoot ported guns, you know sometimes depending on the firearm, you maybe have to use a little bit hotter loads, or you have to use a little bit heavier grain bullet, or you have to just make sure that the bullets cycle well. Some bullets do, some bullets don't. And so for a daily carry gun, we wanted to be able to go into any store, buy ammo, and be able to use it with our gun. And so that was really important to us. But having a gun this size, they can be a little bit snappier. This gun is not. It is not snappy at all. It has a very nice gentle push on the as far as the recoil. I mean, I'm able to control it to where you hardly see the muzzle move. It's just a really, really nice shooting gun. Now, as far as kind of the general controls go, the one really nice thing about this is that The slide release, they do make it a little bit bigger than like the Glocks or the Smith & Wesson. It's more akin to what the Walther uses on their slide releases. It's not as big as the Walther, but it's more along those lines. So it is a fairly easy slide release to hit. You didn't have any problem
I didn't have
getting
any problems manipulating it at all.
And so even on like the Shadow Systems uses such a small slide release that you're almost stuck racking the slide on the Shadow Systems on, because they don't have an aftermarket option for some of the like the CR models and stuff like that. There's no aftermarket option for them because it's proprietary to them. And so slapping it in, I like to hit it with my left thumb, and so that left thumb gets it, and I get a really good purchase on that slide release. I will say there's enough flex in the frame that a lot of times you can slap that magazine in and see it seats and sends it home. So that's I guess one issue, fairly common in polymer frame guns. Some people like it, some people don't, so take that for what it is. I imagine Sig will eventually fix that issue because most manufacturers do. I don't particularly.
I like it.
Mail-in does, yeah. I would rather hit the slide release, but I'm going to hit the slide release when I'm up there anyway. So if I see it seat, then I just move on. And again, generally, it almost always seats the round. There's very few exceptions to that. So not a huge deal in my eyes, but that is something that I know can drive some people crazy. This one does come standard with an optic cut on here. So Sig just comes with an optic cut now. I don't remember what the footprint, I think it's an SRO footprint or anyways, they have an optic cut on here already. So if you want to put an optic on here, you have that option to direct mount it there. We're not adding optics to it, at least not unless our eyes get real bad later on, but we're not going to add optics to our carry gun. We're just going to leave them how they are. I've had optics on my carry gun. I've been messing with optics over the last 6 months or so, a lot more, and I generally just prefer my carry gun to not have it, but it's to each his own, right? Okay, so the other thing is that the slide texture on here, they did a good job with your front and rear serrations. I generally like a little bit more slide serration cut on there, so I wanted it a little bit more aggressive, but it's certainly on par with all the other manufacturers, so you've got that same good front and rear slide serration. It's a little bit more aggressive than a standard Gen 5 Glock, but a little bit less aggressive than what people generally get in like custom pistols and stuff like that. So, which is again to be expected when you're buying a mass-produced gun. As far as sights go, it does come with some really nice sights straight from the factory, right? So you've got your nice front box edge on there for racking it off your pants to your belt. They used a blacked out rear sight with tritium insert, so it's blacked out basically for the day, lights up at night. And your front sight, you got your green post with the tritium insert in there as well. So good sights.
Nice sights. I'm not changing it.
No, we're not going to change them. The only thing that I would do differently if I was building the gun from scratch, I like a solid blacked out rear sight. I don't particularly care much for the tritium, even for night shooting, because sometimes you end up getting focused trying to find those 3 dots and get them lined up, and I just prefer to see the dot and squeeze. So it's a training thing as well as just what I'm used to and what I enjoy. So, but it's not an issue enough for me that I would justify changing it out. Let's see, as far as the internals of the firearm go, the internals are very similar and designed to a Glock, right, which is pretty much all striker fire guns. They make their own little changes, but it does have a much smoother trigger than a Glock or an M&P or a Shadow Systems, and a much crisper trigger pull. So you can see you've got your take up right there, and then our trigger breaks. There's a little bit of mush in there, so it's not quite as crisp as the Walther. Yeah, it's not quite as crisp as the Walther, but again, you have a nice good reset on this. So the reset is a really nice crisp reset right there, and then I'm back. So really good trigger on it for a factory striker fired gun. And I'm not going to do anything to the trigger. It's a defensive carry gun, so we're not going to adjust that at all. We're just going to leave these things factory stock with just how they are.
And no one sponsored this channel. Sig did not give us these guns. We purchased them ourselves. So we can give our honest opinion about them.
But they are a really good gun. I see the 365 and the 320 series picking up in popularity a lot over the next 10 years. I imagine that they will become a very big competitor to Glock. And then Glock owns like 70% of the world's law enforcement. So it's gonna be a long time before somebody bumps them off. But just as Walmart did to Kmart, you know what I mean? Like there's potential here for this to take a pretty sizable market share of the Glock guns.
Quickly.
Especially because Glocks are kind of like Trump, right? Some people hate them and some people love them, type of thing. And so Glocks fall into that same category where there's people that'll do anything to avoid ever shooting a Glock because they talk shit about Glocks for so many years. And so when you get those people, now they've got something else to pick from. And then you've got guys that are just good enough to realize that there's other good guns out there and I don't have to be with a Glock. And so, and they'll swap over. So, really, like I said, we still like Glocks and we still use Glocks, but we've just decided that the grip angle on a more traditional 1911 model fits us both better and points better for both of us. So that's why we have elected to kind of swap over to these. Nice thing about these is that you can change out the grips on them. So if you want the smaller, larger grips, whatever, I'm not talking about just the back strap, but that you can take the whole frame out because the chassis is the serial numbered part. That's actually the firearm. The frame is not. So you can just order the frame online from any supplier. There's lots of different options. But honestly, it's a really good, comfortable frame. So we're not even going to swap that out. We're just going to run them right how they are. We're not doing anything to them.
Well, and I wanted to talk about, from a female perspective, concealability and being able to manipulate it well. I did not have any problems manipulating it like I do sometimes with either smaller guns or a lot larger guns. So this fit really well, very comfortably. And then I didn't have a Kydex holster yesterday, so I used my belly band to draw from, and I was able to conceal it just as well, just as easily. Yeah,
you got a little bit more printing on the end of the handle, but
a smidge.
But I mean, as far as the length of the gun, it's the same length as the CR920. I mean, I think it's barely longer. It does feel like a little bit bigger gun than what it actually is, what the measurements are. So I'll tell you, you'll look at it and you'll be like, well, this is like closer to a compact, and it's like, look at the dimensions. It's really not. So it shoots like a compact gun, and it feels in your hands like a compact gun, even though it really is a subcompact firearm. So, okay. Anything else?
No, I don't think so.
All right. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure and like and subscribe to the channel if you have not already done so. We'll catch y'all later.